How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of FSI's NASCAR season-long preview show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with Mega Ruler 31. Mega, good morning. We are recording these videos for Xfinity prior to the race today at 4. But first, we're going to talk about a season overall preview like we did with the truck video last Thursday, I believe. And we're going to talk a little bit about each team, what we expect from each team, and I'm just going to let you go ahead and take it away with what we have here up on the screen as far as our keys and our preview. So go ahead, take it away.
So as we said, like with the truck preview, and we'll have that one, and then check our channel too. We're going to do a breakdown of the new car. We're not going to pretty much do Cup. We can talk a little bit about the driver changes, but it wasn't. And I think a lot of people are familiar with that. But I think people getting into NASCAR DFS, if they want to branch out from Cup, because a lot of the comments from the video is like, I watch Cup and we see like more views there, not as many on truck and Xfinity, but people say, I don't understand. I don't know the drivers well. We just want to try to give you a brief introduction and kind of a talk through on them. So how we have it set up is you have full-time drivers that are running every single race. And then you have part-time drivers who will be filling in. It's either like a platoon, like the owner wants to keep the car on the track every single week to get owner's points. Drivers' points aren't really necessary. You have truck guys coming up, like trying to, feel out the next level. You have Cup guys coming down, trying to refine their skills, especially like some of the younger ones that just like moved up and maybe are struggling or need a little bit more, never seen a track before, and need to kind of get a little bit more experience there. And again, you have like Formula One people, Indy people, road course people, all kinds of, other people that just want to try the Xfinity Series and come in and jump in. Some ARCA guys jump right up, skip over trucks for that too. So some people just run Daytona only and claim they're only going to run Daytona only, but then you see them like later on in the season. Some of them like have no plans yet, and then there's some teams that have said they're no longer running. But I just say never, because one example that we're going to get to way at the bottom at the end, towards the end of the show, just because it's independent one team, is Penske. And Penske's run, I believe, since 2005 in Xfinity, and last year Cindric ran the car. He did very, very well. That two car had done really well throughout the years in Xfinity, but now it's moving up to he moved up to Cup, and they said there's no plans to run the car this year. But then all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe Cindric will come down, or some other guys will come down from Cup and run the two car for some races this season. So you never say never, I guess, when it says like, we're not going to run the cars this year, because I wouldn't be surprised if they go back on that. But anyways, this is something that you could look at now. You can look at in hopefully July or so. Maybe we'll do like a late season update or something if we need to, if there's a lot of changes. Like NASCAR is a silly season. It's like the hot stove season for MLB, where all of a sudden, guys are not going to be in the cars the next year, or other people have already been named. So, but let's just get to it so we don't waste too much time. And first, we're going to talk about Alpha Prime Racing. Now, Tommy Joe Martin was a single car owner, and he got together, I believe, with Cesar Beccarelli to form this Alpha Prime Racing. So pretty much they're going to run the 44 car almost every week with Tommy Joe Martin in it, even though this week he's not in it. I believe Ryan Ellis is in it for him. And then they added the 45, and the 45 is like an all-star team of European drivers. It seems like you have Cascarelli, you have Rang Kruth, you have Cesar Beccarelli, Howie DeSalvo, Sage Karam. So it's like they're going to this team like really good on road courses, but I think it's like they have a whole arsenal of like guys that love to like dip their toes into Xfinity from time to time. So I think you'll see both cars like try to qualify both weeks. Like the 44 is obviously going to be the priority. And this is just something we'll say here is if there's a driver. And I thought Tommy Joe Martins would be trying to run full time for drivers points, but I don't think he's one that thinks that he can compete for the title. So I think it's more important to try to get enough owner points for these cars.
I was gonna say, I think he's in the ownership pool, and I think he's trying to take a scale back from his driving.
But one thing
some of these guys,
one thing you're going to see is, I think it was the Glory for God Racing in the truck series. One of the guys, Brendan Poole, qualified, and then Matt Jasko did not. But Matt Jasko is competing full time and needs those driver points. So Poole got bumped because Jasko got to drive the truck that did qualify. So. You might see a little bit of that. So Alpha Prime Racing, these guys are decent. I don't know about the 45 car. We'll have to see there. The second car on the team, how good it is. Does it, is it the stepchild? I should say that, but is it do they get the leftover parts, or the seconds, or the hand-me-downs or something? So let's say the younger brother says their stepchild is the bad analogy.
There you go.
So anyways,
not redheaded, but younger brother.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, what I'm trying to say here is are they going to have the elite parts, or does that go to the 44 and then the 45 gets the second? So we'll have to see on that. But Tommy Joe Martin was somebody that we always would like in a country band, but then again, if he starts 20th or to 25th, that's the ideal thing. If he qualifies up in the teens or so, then we probably would fade him, but he's one that can usually finish where he started or progress a little bit.
Yeah, he's okay of a driver. When he races in the right spots, I think we'll take him.
Okay, now we have the BJ Mccloud cars. Sometimes they call them the Mccloud cars. They're not trying to win races. They're trying not to wreck and to get top 20 finishes. Sometimes they run on old or used tires. They don't have as much money as other teams. It's a stable of some young drivers here. So the 5 looks like it's going to be Matt Mills, and then there's a talented young ARCA driver named Nick Sanchez that's going to come up and run the 5 sometimes also. So Matt Mills is decent. He has some truck experience too. So he's one that, again, I think the drivers here could be better than the cars. Josh Williams, he was a talented guy who left DGM, and now he's on a worse team here. He didn't even qualify for Vegas as we're doing this. So a lot of bad luck. He's really good at some races, so we'll just have to keep an eye on him for that one. And then Stephen Parsons, I don't know how to take him, because one thing that you have in truck and in Xfinity, and we might see more this year than in the COVID years where they didn't have qualifying and stuff, is that guys might qualify, but then if they don't have sponsorship, they just might start and run a couple laps. If they don't look like that they're going to progress at all, they're just going to park the car, keep it safe, wait for the next race, and then eventually once they've accumulated enough running money and prize money and stuff, then if there's a track where they think that they can really go for it, then they're going to put all the chips down, actually run that race, get a good sponsor, and hopefully finish 25th. So that's
so what I read on I've read on the BJ Mccloud team is that he's emphasized a lot of his money and his resources into the NASCAR Cup Series this year, trying to get his drivers off the Cup into better situations. He feels like with the new generation car, the next gen car, and how they're trying to build parity with the sport, with the small teams and the larger teams, he feels like he has some opportunities to finally start to make headway in the Cup. That's why he's scaled back on cars in the Xfinity Series, and he's trying to put an emphasis on maybe just the 5. 78 hasn't really looked too good in the first couple of races. So I think the 5 car is probably his only winning chip here for as far as finishing position. But Josh Williams can be fine at times, and I think giving Nick Sanchez an opportunity over Mills, when maybe Mills has a lot of truck stuff to do as well. I think he's saying all right, I have the 5 here, and then everything else is going to be emphasized in the Cup Series. So I would take that for what it's worth in the Xfinity Series.
So DGM Racing, Chevy's, they're a smaller team.
Not bad of a team.
Yeah, they're not great. They're not horrible. You got some young drivers here. Alex Lebaye, he'll run 18 races here. He's a better road guy than he is like a super speedway. Average 24th finish. You have Josh Bilicki. He was solid in Cup. Like he never contended, but he finished races. Like his DNF rate was always like super low because he was always able, even a bad car, to stay out of trouble and to, take care of it and to run a clean race and like get to the end. So there's some guys potentially that could be fill-ins. Mason Massey is his third year in. He's okay. And Kyle Weatherman, I think he's a good road course guy also. And he's got a 5-race trial with his team to see how it goes. And we'll see from there, like how he progresses with that.
Yeah, from what I've gathered on DGM is Bilicki is going to be like the road course ringer here. He's going to fill in for either Massey or Lebaye, and he's going to, do all the road courses for Xfinity this year. As we know, they have an uptick on their schedule with road course races. I think that's why you see, like when we were talking about the Alpha Prime, some of the road course guys, and an emphasis there. So people are trying to, these teams are trying to get at least one road course guy in on their team. And I think Bilicki is kind of the guy there. But Lebaye and Massey, I think, are the two emphasized racers on this team. And Weatherman is, like you said, it's a race and see how it goes.
They also have the 90 in their stable too. They ran that one at Daytona. So it is possible for them to try to field 4 cars with Massey being the lesser of the road course guys here, but we'll see what happens. So next we have Emmerling Gase Racing, Joey Gase, and I forget Emmerling's first name, but he was a
Stuart Patrick.
Yeah, I think it is. But they came together to form a team, and this one could be small but mighty. They're going to run the 35 and the 53, although like Joey Gase almost barely didn't qualify for Vegas, and they really haven't got out of the gate like really, really strong. I don't think the 53 was even registered for the last couple of races, but
I haven't seen Shane yet.
Yeah, but still something to keep your eye on. Like Joey Gase has had a lot of Cup experience. Again, he's kind of like Bilicki, but a little bit better talent wise. Some races, like he might have a ceiling of like a top 15. Like he's never going to probably win a race unless it's like Talladega and he stays out for a caution and then it starts to rain or something, like the Jeb Burton win at had a Talladega.
We'll talk about old Jebby today later on this evening. This morning.
So I mean, there's a little bit of potential there. JD Motorsports, don't get it confused with JR Motorsports. They're two completely different teams.
Yeah, let's not do that.
This BJ Mccloud, actually he owns a team, but he'll actually drive for another team. Again, he's not trying to win, but he's a wily veteran. So if you do see him there and he does qualify, he might be someone to play, but haven't seen any plans for him to run the 0 car this year. And then Colby Howard was in the 15 last year, or he ran the car in 2020. He's currently this car ran in 2020. Currently moved to the 4. Colby Howard ran a little bit, I think, last year in it, but there's no plans that he's going to run this year. But again, never say never. So basically you're down to a 2-car team with Curley and Vargas. And last year, the 4 car was so much better than the 6 car. And Landon Castle actually did quite well in this car. It actually held up pretty well. So we think, Curley could be a sleeper this year in the 4 car if the car continues to perform as well as it did last year, helping medium talent driver actually obtain some success in Xfinity Series. Again, never going to win, but again, you're talking about a car that's going to finish probably higher than some of these other smaller teams.
Yeah, I think Bailey Curry is definitely like a really strong value play throughout the season. There might be a few times where he's starting a little bit too far ahead, because qualifying looked really strong yesterday in the Vegas race. So I think, Curry is definitely one that we can look at throughout the course of the year that could be, like you said, inside that top 15. And you love Ryan Vargas. You're a big Ryan Vargas guy, aren't you?
Not. I mean, in the right situation, but like
he hates Ryan Vargas.
I don't hate Ryan Vargas. I just do. He's not one that I like to play that often, unless it's the right situation. He wrecked
he's got no
club.
Notes. You know the deal.
Yeah, he didn't do it very well for like qualifying at Vegas, so really not off to a great start. But what you might see is if they're trying to like work like owners points or something, or Vargas, last year we saw them like switch these cars, or not really, like sometimes you actually see like one of the guys, Castle, would go to the 6 and the other driver would go to the 4 to try to get the 6 more like owners points. So you might see like gamesmanship like that. Or you paint the 4 car as the 6 car and the 6 car as a 4 car, vice versa. It's like sometimes teams will do that too, just to try to get one of the numbers progress more in owners points, because now that we have qualifying again, we saw it, like 3 cars didn't qualify this week, and we've seen like anywhere from like 2, 3, 4 cars that aren't going to make it. So these owners points are very, very important to be able to get in or to sell somebody, because Jesse Anua just started a team up. We'll get to that, to the bottom, and he's been able, I believe he bought somebody others like numbers like owners points from last year when he got the car, like the owners points went along with it, so he's able to just like sneak in anytime he can't qualify. So there's value in that. Now we come to probably one of the premier teams in Xfinity. I think between Gibbs and JR Motorsports, the next 2 are probably the top 2. Colleague would probably be up there as like 1A,
1B.
level. But these 2 are definitely like, number 1 and number 1A. They're
the teams, the big teams.
So Gibbs, they had 4 cars last year. 3 of them ran regularly. The 54 was for Ty Gibbs to come in and get some experience in Xfinity, and Kurt Busch, or like whatever, like Cup driver one. It was pretty much an all-star car.
Yeah, Truex or Kyle Busch. Yeah.
And Denny Hamlin's running it before. So now the 18 is going to turn into, which was that Hemrick's car last year? Yes, and he won the championship in it. So now Drew Dollar gets it for Daytona. You're going to see Cup guys come down like Truex, Bell, Kyle Busch, Hamlin might drop down. This was actually Bell's winning crew chief, I believe, a couple years ago, was the crew chief for it. So Ryan Truex does actually look decent in it, and we were like kind of down on Ryan
pretty well yesterday.
We're down on Ryan Truex, but I think we're starting to see maybe it was the equipment more than the driver.
Right.
So we'll see. He's brother of Martin, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Trevor Bain came out of nowhere. He went to Wood Brothers a couple of years ago in Cup, and then went and like sold shoes or something. I can't remember what he was like.
Got a coffee shop.
Yeah, coffee shop. There we go. Sorry, I know he was out of the industry, but he didn't look bad like coming back either. So he'll run 7 cars in there. Truex will run Las Vegas, Mountainville, Darlington, Texas spring races, and maybe you'll see him there in the fall races if he does well here. Kind of maybe a renaissance for his career.
I think it will be. I think Ryan Truex will run more than anticipated in this car.
Yeah. But they want to keep it on the track for the owner points and everything. Just like next year.
It'll qualify every week with a different driver. It just won't have anyone racing for a championship.
So Brandon Jones keeps the 19. He was in it last year. This guy is such a headache. Like he is boomer bust. And last week we are like, okay, the stars are aligned, and the stars burnt me to a crisp. So
very much.
Yeah, he he annihilated the sand barrier. And so
yeah, that was one of the worst cleanups we've seen in the Xfinity series, or in any series for that matter, in a very long time.
So, but good thing he's okay. But again, he's one that's like the ultimate GPP play. It's just like he's going to win you a lot of money, or he is just going to end your day very, very early. Harrison Burton was in the 20 last year. They retired this car. They still have the number, but there's no plans to run it this year. And I don't think with having an all-star 18, I think that's true. I don't think that there's going to have it. 54 kind of took its place. And I think they kept the 54 just with the brand recognition, because people saw and like started to buy like apparel and stuff for like Ty Gibbs last year when he was in the 54.
Monster 54 shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think it made sense for him to keep the number. Now, will they contract that number and go back to, because I see like the 18, 19, 20 is kind of the classic Gibbs cars, and the 54 is kind of like an outlier. Will he morph into one of them eventually?
I'm sure they'll just turn the 20 cars into 54 cars.
Yeah, probably.
With different paint schemes, same cars. Yeah.
That's Gibbs. So JR Motorsports, I know this is one of your favorite teams. Last year,
it's Junior.
So last year, I think we need to start with Noah Grayson. He has been a veteran in this series. He's aggressive. He'll lead laps. He takes some bad risks. It seems like he's had beef with everybody in Xfinity over the last 3 years. I think he's thrown more punches.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case for him in the entire career. He's just going to be a guy. He's going to be like the next Kyle Busch.
It's got to be.
That's how I. Yeah. He's going to be a championship driver this year. Grayson is going to be racing for a championship.
Yeah, I could definitely see him making the playoffs. This could be his last year before a Cup also. So we'll see what happens there. So Sam Mayer and Josh Berry split time in the 8 last year, which I was really, Berry came out like in just like Gibbs had a tremendously outstanding
excellent driver.
Early season, and then he spent some time in like the 31 for Jordan Anderson. So this is his first full time. He and Ty Gibbs, they're not rookies this year. It is their first full year in it, but they ran so many races last year that they don't qualify for Rookie of the Year. But still, like, you have like 2 really good young drivers here. I think it's not because of the namesake. I do like Barry a little bit better than Mayer.
Me too.
I think, he's in good equipment, and if he's really got to show something, or Junior's going to move on for him and find like the next, great person to put in here. Do you think they would pull up Haley Deegan from?
I don't know.
Because I hear she's coming up to Xfinity. I really haven't looked to see like what team might be taking her for Xfinity.
I think she's got to prove. I think she's got to prove it a little bit more in the truck series before then she gets a call up. But she was so dominant in ARCA with cars that I could see someone in the Xfinity saying, okay, look, maybe she's just out of touch with what vehicle she's driving. Maybe she's going to be better in a car than she would be in a truck. So I could see it. And you're probably going to get a ton of publicity as a team owner to do it. And I think Junior, if he has a spot open, if Grayson moves up into the higher, into the Cup, and he's got an opening with 9, and then he wants to move like Mayer to the 9 or something like that. But we'll see. It's always going to be played by ear.
In the 1, it kind of makes sense. But anyways, don't want to start rumors or anything. But then we have Justin Allgire, and clearly, one of the top guys by default left here. He could be a little less aggressive sometimes, but he's going to compete. He's going to win races, and he's probably going to finish in the top 4 also.
Yeah. Another championship driver here from Junior.
And then the never say never, like the 88 is going to be back, like out of nowhere, part-time. Miguel Polito will run road courses in it, and then Dale Jr. will show up and run the Martinsville race for it.
Something small. Won't ever step foot on a plate track. My life's over. I hate it.
So
I love Dale Jr. He's my favorite race car driver. It makes me sad that he retired because his wife asked him to. I'm still bitter.
Well, never say never. Then we come to Colby Racing, who was probably up in this tier, but it looks like they've taken like a step back, especially this year. But they did move up to Cup, and we think that a lot of the resources are trying to throw to get that team established up there. Landon Castle, like we said, drove really well in the 4 last year, but he's kind of really struggled in this 10 car. He got a lot of out of an inferior car last year, so we'll see what happens. But early returns haven't been great. Hemrick moves.
Did you see that the 10 car caught on fire in the hauler or something like that?
Yeah.
And they had to drive it all the way back to North Carolina to get it fixed up, or wherever, I think Ohio, I'm not sure, wherever, I think College Station in Ohio, up in the Sandusky area. They had to drive it all the way back from Las Vegas, fix it, repaint it, or whatever they had to do to it, and then drive it all the way back for practice and qualifying. Incredible story so far with Landon, and then he qualified inside the top 5, I think, yesterday, or inside the top 10. So
yeah,
incredible little story here from Castle this week. He's had a crazy week, but as far as like a season goes, wait and see. I don't know. Jeb Burton won a race in this car, but it was rain shortened. He ran inside the top 15 most of the year. I think that's maybe what we can expect, just a top 15 car.
And then Hemrick in the 11, like he won the title last year, but he's only won one race in like over 200. I like the guy. He's just like seems like snake bitten, like always the bridesmaid. Finally got to be the bride, so it's a monkey off the back. We'll see what happens. He's going to spend time in Cup, also splitting with Allmendinger in the Cully program. So I think, and he was a former Cup driver that just couldn't cut it up there. And then
ran with Richard Childress, right? Ran that 8.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So, but I think he's got a little bit more seasoning down here and stuff. And I think
he's our guy, man. We called it with him in Florida.
Yeah.
Winning the championship, or in Phoenix, winning the championship.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like his equipment isn't as good this year, so we'll really see like what his talent is. So Castle's definitely wait and see. Hemrick, I think, definitely play in right situations just based on his pedigree. But AJ Allmendinger, I think, is one that can definitely be one to look out for. You see, started out the season good. He's got the pull at Vegas. He's going to probably win 5 or 6 races this year, and probably also be a contender up there for the title potentially too. So I think it's probably going to come down to Allgire, Grayson, Allmendinger, and then probably one of the young guns like Gibbs or Barry or somebody. Somebody.
It'll be fun. It'll be a fun ending to the playoffs, but I can definitely see all 3 of these guys competing. All 4 of the guys in Junior and Gibbs. It'll be a fun little playoff season for Xfinity. They got a lot of fun stuff coming up ahead.
Okay, so now MBM Racing, they're definitely a start and park risk. JJ Gielli's in the 66. He might also run in the 61 Hattori car, but I don't think that might be an old note, because Hattori might not be racing. So scratch that. JJ Ailey and Timmy Hill in the 66. You have the 13 potentially with Stephen Litch ran it last year. Stan Mullins couldn't qualify in it this year. He's not that good. And then you have Chad Fincham, who has like a 29th place average and didn't finish over half his races. So really, JJ Yaley, who runs in like Cup also, I think if you see him in a race, he's probably the one to most likely look at.
So only the 66 in this team.
Means Motorsports, they have Cody Vanderwall was in here and Dave Smith was in here, but I haven't seen plans for them to run. There's a Harrison Rhodes, which I don't know a ton about and really haven't seen much on this car yet. So I don't really know if Jimmy Means Motorsports is going to make a return for Xfinity this year. If they do, I guess if they qualify really low and you need a punt, it's somebody to consider, but I'm not putting much weight behind it. So then we have Mike Harmon cars, which they all average finish in the 30s, and their DI and F rates, they're sky high. So avoid them. They're probably not racing. They're probably collecting paychecks. Although Brandon Poole is a decent driver, so we'll see. And he did pretty well in Cup in 2020 during the COVID season. Greg Alding was up there too, I believe. So you have some like Cup experience here. Mike Harmon might run from time to time in his own car, but he's kind of like the Jordan Anderson thing. If the name, the person who's name of the car, and it's not some of these other team owners that we're going to talk about later. I wouldn't do it. Tim Veen's tried to run Daytona. I can't remember if he qualified or not. I don't think he did. And Joe Nemechek, the father, might come. So this team's like pretty much a hot mess. If Brandon Pooler, Gary Galden are in it and they qualify, if they do well in practice but only qualify like 30th, or if their practice speed is better than their qualifying, then I might consider them, because that means that they're actually trying. But if you look at with some of these smaller teams, if you look at the qualifying sheet, if somebody ran like 5 or 10 lap, if they have 5 and 10 lap averages, then that means they're actually trying. If they just went out there for like 2 laps or something, or didn't run any, then that's a very bad sign. I wouldn't play. Now we move on to our motorsports. It's a decent smaller team. They're expanding to 3 cars this year. They only had 1 last year with Brett Moffitt, but they bring in some nice talent here. They have ECR engines. Brad Moffitt put all his chips in one basket. He pulled out a truck series and ran the O2 last year. He is a decent rider. Sometimes he qualifies too high for us to play him, but when he does qualify outside the top 10, he's definitely someone to consider. And he can hold his place, because there's been times where like, I don't know, he's qualified 11th, and he'll end up finishing like 12th or 13th, which with the finishing points, you lose like 2 points with like losing 2 positions, but like he might end up in an optimal lineup. Anthony Alfredo comes back after failing in the Cup. He's trying to rebuild his career. He had some success in the short Xfinity season in 2020. He shared the RCR 21 with Myatt Snyder, and actually did pretty well there. And he's actually looked really good so far. So he's somebody that I'm going to keep my eye on. And again, it's a concern when the team only has 1 car and expands to 3. Are they going to have enough resources to put it behind it? But I think that they're just our motorsports, and they have ties to like truck and to Cup. So they're across the industry. So it's not like a small mom and pops team. And then Jeb Burton, who leaves Coley after limited success, comes to this team too. We'll see how he does. I mean, he's had some wrecks already this year, and he's, I think, going to be kind of like Landon Castle, like wait and see.
Yeah, Alfredo looks to be good early. Moffitt, the original car, and Jeb Burton's team looks to be struggling a little bit as like that third latched on vehicle to this team. Already we're seeing some issues arise in Auto Club in Vegas with this car. So I would feel stronger on Moffitt as far as like, manufacturing goes on this car. But hey, I think all 3 are great drivers. They have an upcoming, season that could be pretty good. So.
Okay. Sorry, I hit the mouse by accident. Next up.
Yeah, you're losing me here. Where are we at?
We have RCR, which is they're expanding. Richard Childress Racing, they're expanding to 2. They had the 2 last year, and now they're adding the 21 with Austin Hill. So you have 2 like really good Cup or truck guys come up to Xfinity. Creed is won everywhere. He's running ARCA. He's won in truck. Should do well here also. Very aggressive driver. And Hill comes up. He's won the truck series 2 years ago. He should have success, and he won Daytona. So, we're already seeing both of them are competing for the Rookie of the Year. So I think one of them potentially is the 4th guy into the playoffs there. So.
Yeah, I like Austin. I like Austin Hill here. Both cars here are gonna have a shot at making the playoffs. I think they're both capable drivers.
Then we have Rss Racing, which is kind of the
Team Sieg.
Yeah, Ryan Sieg. Ryan Sieg is a top 15 driver. This car is good. The only thing about Ryan Sieg is, even though he's a top 15 driver, but he is like the zig when everybody else is zag. He has the most bizarre track and pit strategies to try to, because the car's not going to beat anybody on its own, but they're going to try to put this car in a unique position. So if they get the break, then they're going to do really well. So most of the time it works out for them, but sometimes it ends horribly. So like, I think it was like
Yeah.
to last year, they didn't take tires and like there was a restart and like lost like 25 spots and ended up into the wall. So his brother's going to be driving quite a bit too in the 38th. They're bringing in Parker Resliff. He's going to do 10 races. Phoenix, Richmond, and Martinville, Dover. Timmy Hill is going to, he ran this in Auto Club, but he's going to be replaced by Joe Graff. But that's not in this car. That's in a different car. So.
Yeah, I think that was the 93.
Yeah. Jeff Green, he ran it last year, but there's no plans for that. CJ McLaughlin, if there's no sponsor, he might be parking this one. Like he always scares me for that one. Like he qualified like 31st for Vegas. And so this team, basically what you need to know about this team is Ryan is a good play, but a bit risky with his different strategies.
I like Sieg.
Yeah, the third, Kyle
team,
Sieg
I would
potentially too.
Play.
You know, if Timmy Hill, like the 38, but I'm not positive I want to play like McLaughlin or anybody else that they throw until we see how this Parker guy comes out.
Sure.
Sam Hunt Racing.
All right, now these cars are good. These are good cars.
Yeah.
They're going to have a mixture of racers in them this year. I think we randomly have John Hunter Nemechek filling in.
This is Gibbs light, basically. This is like kind of like the Wood brothers to Penske, and what would you say?
Like believe it or not, they got a strong finish from Jeffrey Earnhardt at anything other than a Daytona race last week at Auto Club. So I know the Sam Hunt Racing team has two fast cars for Toyota.
So you're going to see Jeffrey Earnhardt run some here. John Hunter Nemechek is going to pop up, and actually he's running this week at Vegas. Derek Griffith is going to fill in the 26th, and then Ryan Truex, if he doesn't lock in with Gibbs, which we think he might if he continues on the trajectory of the way he is. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, who might pop up here. One of the other people that if they don't like maybe Kyle Weatherman or something, if the the trial races don't work out, I wouldn't be surprised if Truex ended up there. If you get another, I think Nemechek really wants to focus on the truck series, so I don't think he's going to run like too many races up here, but I think he's trying to get back to Cup, so I think that's going to like kind of help, you know, work that progression. So it's a it's an interesting team. So keep an eye on the 26th.
Yeah.
And then we have Greenlight Racing, which is the 07 is possibly Stuart Haas. I know they have a alliance with them now, and it looks like you're going to see some Cup guys dropping down. Cole Custer, Chase Briscoe. They need some seasoning in Cup, so you're going to see them drop down. Custer ran last race. You see Briscoe coming up too. Joe Graff Jr. is going to go in there when the Cup cars, the guys are not there. Then you have David Starr. He'll run 28 races. Like he's not that good, so I'm really not looking to him.
It's only the 07 in this.
Right. And then Garrett Smithley, they do have the 17 they have in the past. Haven't seen any plans for him to run in this car yet this year. Okay, so now we have the speed round, the miscellaneous Chevys. You have Chris Cockrum. He usually just runs Daytona super speedways if you can qualify. Brandon Brown, Brandon-Built Motorsports. We have a lot of love for this guy. It's a very solid father-son owned team.
No sponsors though.
Right. But
that's concerning.
It's concerning, but I think that if he continues to trust the process and grind it out and do what he's doing, I think they will come. So
he was going to sponsor, he was going to have a cryptocurrency sponsor, but NASCAR disallowed it over the whole, let's go Brandon fiasco. So he's not able to run that sponsor. Now he's sponsorless. So we'll see if Brandon Lemonis or Marcus Lemonis, whatever his name is, decides to help him out. We'll see. A lot of political stuff.
Yeah,
behind
and
that
it was
sponsor.
just it was and Brandon Brown has nothing to do with the politics.
No,
It
he
was just
doesn't.
a situation that he was in when the crowd decided to make it political at Talladega last year. But you would think maybe he might capitalize from that a little bit, but maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he's just like, you know what, that it happened. So we're just going, but I'm a race car driver. I'm not a politician. And it's great that I
He's
got
said
all
that
this.
multiple times.
Yeah. I got this like a little extra marketing out of it. But you know what? I'm here to win races, not to, get into politics. But we really like it. We have liked him for the last couple seasons, and we'll continue to like him even after the Luxco Brandon thing dies out. The Bassett team, they'll run 15 to 18 races this year. Dylan Bassett, Ronnie Bassett, could be a start and park risk. They're probably about as good as a BJ Mcleod car, right?
Yeah.
Jade Buford, this big red machine, single car team.
Love this team.
They are actually,
this team.
but they're killing us in DFS because they're qualifying too high. Like they have some speed.
I'm just gonna have to start playing them in GPPs because they finish well. Like this team could probably have its own, full. I mean, Jade is full time. And he is always racing, but it's like, man, at some point this team's gonna be something. Big machines, fairly good.
Big things on the horizon. Are they like? Do they have something to do with like a music label or something?
I have no idea where this even came. It came in last year, but all I know is
I thought it had something to do with like a country label or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Then we have Jerry Lee Clements, who is like a little bit of a lesser version of Brandon Brown, a little bit older, more experienced. He has some top fives and top tens, like only 15% DNF race, so he takes care of the car. So like him. Jesse Inua jumps in here, and he's the one, like I said, this 34 he bought from another team. Like I don't know if it was the 34 last year. I forget the backstory. I'm sorry about that, but he does have owner's points. So like he wouldn't have qualified on speed for a couple of races this year and can get in on owner sports. This team is backed by Emmitt Smith. He is one of the 3 rookies with Hill and Creed that's competing for rookie of the year. I think it's going to be a learning curve. He has experience in truck. It's gonna, the program and everything is not off to a great start, but hopefully, like some of the other teams backed with like the money, and that's what you really need in Xfinity is like the money for resources to have like the correct amount of tires and tech and stuff. So I think if Emmitt Smith is really behind this and some of the other people, I think this team hopefully can progress to be like a Clements Racing or a Brandon Built Racing or Big Machine Racing. Or next guy, Jordan Anderson Racing. Myatt Snyder is going to be in this car full time. It was kind of revolving door last year. He was at Childress last year.
Richard Childress,
and he's a good driver. He just cars had some speed last year. Ty Dillon ran it. Tyler Reddick ran it. With Jordan running it wasn't as good, but then again, we always said like, of course, Jordan's trying to manage a team and run races. It just something's got to give. It doesn't get missed, and it's just not efficient. But I think we could see some decent things here. The 89 Chevy from Shepherd Racing Ventures. They're looking for funding. We might see them pop up for a couple of races, but I'm not holding my breath on that. So I said earlier in the race, like the 2 car, I misspoke. I meant the 22 of Austin Cindric, the Ford here, because the 2 cars, the Children's car. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you.
You'll understand.
Anyways, this car has been in Xfinity, and I think there's plans to maybe bring somebody up next year from the trucks to take it over.
Maybe this is where Haley Deegan slots in. I hear in the 22.
I saw another name bouncing around, like maybe like Chandler Smith or Zane Smith or somebody potentially. I'm not positive.
Zane Smith in the Xfinity, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But we could possibly see like Cinder come back down, especially if he we see Cole Custer and Briscoe, if they continue to struggle a little bit there, and then like maybe Blaney or Harrison Burton, Logano run some races in the 22, and then you have Chase Chase Briscoe's not in the Stewart Haas car. It's Riley Herbst. That's a typo.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's supposed to.
We're flashing back to. Yeah,
I was gonna say that's supposed to be Riley Herbst.
And Riley picked up this car from Chase Briscoe, and it was a very fast car. And Chase Briscoe had a lot of success. And I think he won like 8 races the year before. But Hirsch just isn't the same driver. The equipment's there, and Stuart Haas Racing, but it just really hasn't had a ton of success. Will he win a couple races this year? Potentially. Will you see him up in the top 5 consistently? Yeah. Will you see him make some mistakes and races that he should have won, or opportunities blown, or like speeding on pit road, things like that? Yes. So that breaks down pretty much the Xfinity Series. Like I said, you're pretty much looking at like the Gibbs, the JR cars, some of the Cully ones mixed in, but hopefully we gave you some nuggets of some guys that watch it back and take some notes on some of these smaller guys that can be good values, because if you're paying 9 or 10K for some of these top guys, you're going to need the ones to balance out your lineups. And each week it's going to fluctuate based on where they qualify, but there's some guys that are just so much more consistent than other ones. Even if they qualify towards the back and look like they have place differential, if the car doesn't make it like 2 or 3 laps, you really didn't accomplish much.
Yeah. All right, guys, that'll wrap things up for this Xfinity season-long preview show. Mega, thank you for breaking a lot of that down for us. Happy to assist when needed, but yeah, really good stuff on putting all this together for us. We appreciate it. Helping us understand who is driving and what team is sometimes half the battle for these races. So now that we have a good idea, we're going to be able to come away each Xfinity video knowing a lot more about what to expect on each race. All right, guys, thank you. You can like this video, comment below with any questions or comments. It's always greatly appreciated. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. You can follow Mega on at MegaRuler31. All right. Thank you guys, and enjoy your day.